Welcome to episode 122 of Teh Tarik with Walid. Pardon the voice, I'm falling a little ill, but it's fine. This is in the pursuit of democracy. So today, hopefully tonight, we will have a little bit of a light-hearted session, maybe. So I'll be having Kevin Wee on. You may know him as the person who raised I Show Speed, or the person behind Radical Kindness. So why I wanted to have him on, because he actually interviewed me at a rally a few days ago, and I thought he was going around Singapore having a feel of the different rallies, interviewing different people. So it would be nice to hear his thoughts. Thank you so much, everyone. So let's try. Meanwhile, feel free to type in your comments, not just about this particular session.
Hi.
Hi, nice to
Can you hear
meet
me?
you online. Yes, I hear you very well. You hear me?
Yes, yes, I do.
Yes,
Let me just,
Kevin.
I realize it's super small, so I'm trying to fit myself in the frame. Okay, now this
Okay.
is fine.
Yeah, you can turn it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
this is good.
thank you so much, Kevin. I wanted to ask. You are openly supporting the opposition, especially SDP.
Yeah, I've noticed that influencers generally a bit more pro incumbent. I guess it makes sense because a lot of their bottom line depends on sponsorships, right?
Yeah,
So and yes, you can argue that nowadays is more open, and yes, public service needs to be non-biased, but I cannot go in detail, but I have lost deals before because of my affiliations. Yeah,
I see.
but
So
but
are you an SDP member?
mm, I I would hope I actually hope that I would be one, so that I could potentially speak tomorrow at the rally. They only allow members to speak. So
Oh,
because of that, I posted a request. It was brought up and discussed it, but they felt that because it's not a member, it would be difficult. Yeah, but no, I'm not a member. I'm not very politically involved. Yeah, only because yeah, it's just that I have very close connections with, not close connections, very close warm feelings towards Dr. Chee. Yeah.
why is that?
Um, Pardon me. I realize it's very rude for me to be eating nuts. Just give me a moment. Let me
Carry
let
on,
me
carry
let
on.
me finish my nuts. I'll just do a
No
bit of
worries.
research on the publications that you have, the books you have written,
Okay.
and how well loved you are by your students, and
I
obviously by your views as well. So
I don't know
I need
about
to
that. I
respect the
don't know how
occasion.
well loved I am by the students, but yeah. So let me just read some of the comments first while you chew on the nuts. So West Coast is hotly contested, but relatively quiet in the media. Do you think PSP has a chance? That's really interesting. I do think that it is quite quiet. I do think, of course, PSP has a chance, but WP has stolen all the media attention. But also, I heard from our friends at the Daily Catch Up that the PSP turned down an opportunity to appear on the Daily Catch Up, which was quite surprising. But maybe they are just focusing on the ground game. So Living Books Project said he was very supportive of your book too, Kevin, as in referring to you being supportive of my book.
Thank you, sir. Whoever you
No,
are there, I hope that you enjoyed it. I guess I wrote a book last year. I dedicated a good part of last year to write a book. Yeah, it was the most spiritual journey I've been on. The most nothing could compare to writing a book, I would say.
and so
Yeah.
why was it spiritual? Can you, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah. So for the viewers that come in for the first time, you all might see me in bits and pieces on different videos. Depending on the video that you see, your impressions might differ quite a bit, right? Some people think I'm crazy, some people think I'm intense, some people think I'm gentle. And I always find it quite fascinating that people have very differing opinions on me based on what they see. And yes, I'm called radical kindness, but kindness is not necessarily the first word that kind is not necessarily the first word that we use to describe me. The louder aspects of my personality usually is more prominent. Yeah. So to give a short background, I grew up in a very perfect system. My parents are both educators in the public service. Um, Not never outrightly. I mean, we got to link it to politics. They never outrightly express their views in politics because they're in public service. Both educators, And I was given a very good background growing up. Privileged, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have a sob story that's disingenuous. I was very privileged. I had the best parents in the world. Went to Victoria School, eventually went to Raffles Junior College. And I was set to be a doctor, lawyer, whatever, right? Straight A's. That was the goal that I had because we are influenced by the system around us. So all my friends are either doctors, lawyers now, to be honest. But I messed up my A-levels because of anxiety. And the exact same room that I'm sitting now, right? There was drilling happening above. Couldn't focus, anxiety because I was labeled. I was conditioned to believe my grades define my future. I crumbled. Yeah, I couldn't focus. I crumbled. I ended up blank papers on my math A-levels. And that started a whole episode of depression and mania where I burned my A-level cert, I drank my own pee, I tasted my own dog shit. That was the first time I kind of went into media at 18 years old. I created a video on YouTube. I called it Avatar We because I wanted to save Singapore. And ironically, that was the birth of my passion for a cause. Ironically,
Wow.
that was the first time I thought in my mind, Singapore needs to be more inclusive and compassionate. And that was born out of resentment at that point of time. Resentment turned outwards. Right. At the end of the day, I was angry at the system, but I was just angry at myself also because I studied so hard, 14 hours a day for 2 months, and this is what happened. So I was very disillusioned, and I spent the next 10 years. Eventually I came out of mania, found good mentors, shut down my channel, built business for 10 years, was decently successful, had a relapse at 28. Relapse was bad, nearly took my life. Came out of it for after a year, then had a heartbreak, and then started Radical Kindness and wrote a book. And then here I am today. That's my
Wow.
life in a nutshell.
Kevin, I started just now by saying I wanted this life to be light-hearted, just to wind down,
Yeah.
but it's not light-hearted at all.
I can't. See, that's the thing. I'm very intense, right? So the thing is,
No, it's great. It's great.
people have been telling me that I'm generally very intense. That's why I kind of drawn Dr. Chee as well, because he's a very intense personality, right?
Understand. But you know, one of the things I've interviewed Dr. Chee before. One of my earlier episodes, you know, season 2, and we are in season 13 now, and he is he's very intense. He's very serious. You know, he
Yeah.
doesn't he doesn't laugh a lot. I think like he doesn't. He's not he's not easygoing. That's not the. But he's not rude or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But just his personality is just a bit intense,
Right.
and I'm thinking, man, that man has whatever he's gone through. I'm
Mm,
sure he's broken it, not broken his spirit, but it must have affected whatever how he views life, right? And maybe it has taken a little bit of the smile away from him. Also, just an ability to be less serious. You know,
mm.
do you relate to that?
I do think that pain and changes you. I think that when you've come to me, passionate youth, this is just a trend, not really a trend, observation that I see. People with very deep purpose usually stems from a lot of pain. And pain makes you wiser, and it also makes you uh a little bit more, how to explain, a little bit more, you take things a bit more serious front sometimes because you've seen suffering, right? But at the same time, I would argue that there is a certain lightheartedness to him as well. It's just that it's not seen on the media. It's not seen in rallies. He's very convicted when he's sharing a certain point because he believes in that, right? And this is the funny thing. This is what people also say about me. Because in certain videos, right, I'm just looking at the camera like that and
Yeah.
I'm just arguing my point. And then I get feedback that, well, Kevin, you are really, scaring me. Then I'm like, okay, then I need to smile a bit. I realize I need to change my impressions a little bit. And I think for him as well, he's received feedback from his media team and his party members, and he's mellowed down and he's gone with a little bit more of a chill approach in the
How do
last
you know?
elections.
How do you know Dr. Chi personally?
2015, I listened to a speech online. I was in a time, I was in my early 20s, 20 to be exact. And I was still trying to define my own success. I had to go down a different pathway. And his speech brought me to tears. He's the only current politician that has brought me to tears, except the late Lee Kuan Yew. The only Singaporean politician who has brought me to tears. Yeah. That speaks a lot. Right? Arafin recently as well.
Oh
And
my
then here's the
God!
thing. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. So Arafin's the third person, the third Singaporean politician to bring me to tears. Previously, right, I've not felt any emotion whatsoever from, a lot of, local politicians. So sorry, back to the point. So I met him online spiritually, I would say. And then I was drawn to him, his story and everything. And then, I met him first time in Tampines MRT. He was selling his own books. A lone figure in Tampines MRT, no funding, all he had was a dream. A neatly pressed shirt and trousers. And this was in 2017. And then 2020, after the GE, I wrote to him because that's when I first started my media career again. I started a podcast called Rebound and Resilience. Back then, I had no followers, no fame, no platform. I reached out to him. He wrote back almost immediately, said, I would love to come on your podcast. And he came on my podcast, right? Only a short while after his mom passed away.
Wow.
And he also lost a heart for GE at that time. He came on my podcast, gave me his full undivided attention. And then less than a week later, he went back to Bukit Batok to serve his residents. So from then on, I've really been won over by him really. And I told myself one day I'll repay the debt. And this is the day. This is the GE that I'll repay the debt. So I go all out. I don't care. I can demonetize. I don't care. I've decided that radical kindness doesn't matter. I'm gonna just use it as a platform for my voice. I don't need sponsors. I'll just make my money elsewhere. Yeah. So I hope that I've done my part lah to help him. I would say this that my close friends and my business friends don't necessarily fully concur with his policies. They're a little bit more pro PAP in a sense when it comes to that. I see a trend there lah. Business owners usually more pro PAP,
Yeah.
and then but nobody can really take a step at his character and his resilience lah. Let's put it that way.
I think sheer tenacity alone, right? No,
Yeah.
you have to give it to him. Whatever side of the political aisle you're on, I think that is a case. So, Kevin, you sound like you want to stand as a candidate one day.
Yeah. Let me reply to this indulgence. I wanted to type welcome, but I just let me type something welcome. Okay, got it.
Don't type. You can just respond to it.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, what's your screen just now? Pardon me. Yeah, I realized I can just say after you're fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I actually had the idea. I was sleeping down. I had the idea, and when I had these ideas, right, I had these hunches in my head, in my heart. I almost always act on them. Some examples would include radical kindness was one. Radical Riches, which is my other brand. I had this idea that Colchester needs some competition, right? I'm not sure you know who Colchester is. He's quite a famous business influencer. So I thought, Colchester needs some competition. I know him personally, he's a good friend. But I said there's no one doing School of Hard Knocks related content in Singapore. So I brought it. I said I had a hunch I was going to do it. I was right. And within less than a month, he has more followers than Radical Kindness on TikTok. And I've built Radical Kindness for a year and a half, right? So Radical Riches is a lot more monetizable than Radical Kindness.
Wow.
I did it with Radical Games as well. I wanted to host a Squid Games in Singapore. I was trying to ask Tian Hao whether I can follow up and everything, and then I was like thinking to myself, what the heck, Kevin? Why you a beggar? So I decided that I'm gonna start my own thing. Within one day, I did a video, 700 people signed up, and I started Radical Games. So a lot of these things that I do is really by hunches. The speed thing as well. When I give away 10K to speed, same thing. It just came as a hunch, executed it, and then it just happened. So in this case, right, I was sitting down and I thought to myself, why are the youth not caring about politics? The GE is coming. And at that point of time, it was not that intense yet. So I was thinking, why are people not talking about it? And, why people was word for apathetic. So I was like, okay lah, let me take in my matters in my own hands. So I said, I'm going to run. Okay. Put in a deposit, run as not because I believe I was going to win, but more as a platform to share my views and my causes, and get attention essentially. But I think the trickiness, I was very split down the middle with this because even among my supporters, right, they were 50-50 on this. Yeah. Some say I should go like Nico, from, I can't remember his full name, the British YouTuber that went to run the UK elections. Yeah. So I was going to do something similar to him just to get attention and raise awareness for causes. But I felt, looking back, I felt like it would have backfired, probably. People would just see as me using elections to seek attention.
So wait, so you were in serious discussions with the SDP?
No, I wasn't. I want to run as independent candidate.
All right. Sorry, people are asking, they say they cannot see me. Can you see me, Kevin?
I can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I can see also. I don't know what's the issue here. So So interesting. Uh, why didn't that go through?
I was only stopped by time. I had to fly to a different country to do business, and I only had one day to find my six guys to sign my nomination forms. If I had more days, I would have done it. Yeah.
Okay. So SDP wanted you to run as a candidate.
No, they didn't want me. Of course, they didn't want me. I wanted to do it independently.
Oh, you wanted to be an independent
Yeah,
candidate.
yeah. I wanted to
Oh,
run in McPherson at first. I think McPherson got absorbed. You see, my intention to run is very simple. It's just to gain awareness and talk about certain causes, right? I did not intend to win, and also like if I run in McPherson with Tin Pei Ling, right, there's no chance I'm winning, and you cannot make the argument that I will dilute the votes because no one's winning against her. So that was the initial plan, lah. Then after McPherson was absorbed, right, I was thinking, okay, maybe Mountbatten SMC. And then Jeremy reached out to me and said, Kevin, don't run. I need to run. At that point in time, I don't know his credibility yet, ma. I
right.
don't know who he is, what. So I thought, yeah, he's just someone that doesn't take things seriously. So I was like, doesn't matter. Even if I run, what does it matter? People are not going to vote for me anyway. But in the end, I decided not to. In the end, I decided not to because I just couldn't find the people. And also because I felt that I could be diluting the whole electoral purity, lah.
Jeremy is a pretty good candidate, I
Yeah,
would
he
say.
is.
I interviewed him. I think he's better than many of the candidates in the parties, you know. So it's
Yeah,
interesting. You mentioned Arifin, right? Arifin,
yeah,
I have been pretty impressed with Arifin. I was a bit, I guess, I mean, I was shocked that he joined the SDP, but I wasn't surprised
yeah.
because I think his politics does align a lot with Dr. Chee. But why wouldn't you join the SDP? As in, why would the SDP want you?
Me? No,
Yeah,
okay. So to clarify, right? I don't think they'll say no to me. It's just that this was a very split second decision. I've never volunteered with them before. I've never been involved in politics. I've never been on
right,
the ground. Right? This is just me thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I speak well. I could easily give a speech that is better than 90-95% of the candidates. Uh and it's just an ego thing. Yeah, I just wanted attention, and I know that it's semi attention, but it's semi because like there are certain causes that I care about, right? Mental health, education. That I know if I speak from my heart and I talk about the experiences that I've had. In my mind, I had a certain campaign I wanted to do, lah, right? Where I'll post one video a day. It's like a semi campaign, but not really. So that was a rough plan. I didn't have time to execute it because it was just a 1 day thing. So even if I go to the SDP, I say, hey, let me run. That will not happen because I'm not intending to actually serve. Yeah.
right.
So if I would do it 4 years down the road, I'm not ruling it out, right? If I would do it 4 years down the road, I have to actually be on the ground, actually understand what an MP's roles is, because it's going to be a massive change in my life. In fact, I want to ask you this question, right? Until now, I don't even know what an MP does. You know.
Right.
So let me ask you a question. Based on your experience speaking to so many politicians, right? What extent do they have to give up their life to when they become a politician, and do they believe it's worth it, and how much time is taken from that? Yeah.
A large extent, I think a large extent, a lot of the MP's job is it's really symbolic things that they are doing on the weekends, you know. Giving, can you imagine giving EduSafe certificates to
Mm,
people? That's just 3 hours of just standing and smiling for the camera. And then,
mm,
cutting ribbons, events, too many, too many. So they do give up. So one of the things I never say about NPCs, they do not work hard. They do work hard, and they give up a lot of their time, their health, but also a lot of their privacy, right?
yeah.
And of course, whatever we say about the PAP is true of even truer of opposition MPs because there's more scrutiny on them. So
Mm.
yes, so a lot of time. Uh, yeah, will you will you consider that? Like, are you willing, able and willing to
I've,
do that?
I've never ruled it out, but the thing is that right now, I think it's coming from a place of more self-interest than other interests. And I don't think that that's a good compass to use to go into it. Um, so, you definitely, I'm not ruling it out. Yeah, it's just that I have to get a better understanding of what I'm giving up and what I'm campaigning for. I'll share with you my ultimate why, right? It's behind on the screen there. Can't really see it, but it says to ignite the human spirit to love and to overcome. Everything I do, it's just for these two reasons, right? I have a tattoo here, which is a rose representing love, and a phoenix representing uh resiliency, rising
Okay,
from the rising
so
ashes.
that's interesting, right? Because you're radical kindness and you
Yeah.
represent love. But a lot of people would say, oh, Dr. Chee is so radical, he's so confrontational, he's aggressive. He's the opposite of radical kindness. He's just radical. How will you respond to that?
That's interesting. You see, the thing is that our experiences are shaped a lot by personal experiences, right? Our impressions, sorry, and I think my interactions with Dr. Chee, right? Might come across as surprising or not surprising to some people, but he's the one of the warmest persons I've ever met. Like I could probably the top five people in my life that just exude a certain sense of
Yeah,
warmth and a certain sense of care that is inexplicable. Yeah, inexplicable. And even when I met Tim Pei Ling, she's a nice lady. Right? I actually interviewed Tim Pei Ling before on my podcast.
oh,
Yeah, she cried in this table behind. She was talking about
oh,
her past. Yeah. And she's an amazing lady as well. But Dr. Chee's on a different level. Yeah. I cannot describe it. And that's why I never seen him as someone that's, never seen him as someone that's combative. That being said, I can understand why people feel because the way he argues his points and the way he debates certain things could cause disruption to parliament, and some people that's one of the biggest concerns people have. But I do think that he has made a very concerted steps to have a more mellow and measured tone over the
yeah.
years. Yeah. So let's see, like, if he gets voted in, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to explore. So to the chat, please don't get excited. I know you saw Masagos join. That's Masagos, my friend, not the minister. So, so what are Dr. Chee's chances, you think? Having walked the ground, having been at the rallies, what do you think?
I just did a poll on my stories. I said only Sembawang SMC voters. You guys tell me who you're voting for. I had 19 votes for Dr. Chee, 2 votes for Lisan, and maybe a 9 undecided. But this is from people following me, which in itself is a really a biased sample because I've been sharing so much about Dr. Chee, maybe they're influenced by me. And yeah, friends do reach out and say, Kevin, I'm influenced by you to vote for Dr. Chee.
Right.
you know. And then you look on social media, obviously it seems that a lot of it's in favor. But social media has always favored the opposition, right?
Yeah.
Even in 2010, right? That was the first time social media came about. Sorry, 2015.
2011.
11, yeah, 11, especially like there was the big like, wow, everybody was wow, social media, everybody was backing. And then the results show a very different thing. Yeah. So there's a silent majority of older generation people that we may not see. I don't know, but that's the thing about Dr. Chee, right? I'll only give one example, and this may not be reflective, but I went to Sembawang to persuade voters, right? On my latest video, I did that. I don't know whether it's legal or not. Doesn't matter. They can put me in jail. It's good content. I did that, and then after I put it online, and then the two gentlemen, that were in their 60s, 70s, and I asked them what's their impression of Dr. Chee. They're voting in Sembawang SMC. So he said, oh, in the past, he first of all they say he's an Iron Man. Then he said in the past he used to anyhow shoot anyhow one. And now he's a lot more mature. He's a changed man. I quote directly, they said he's a changed man. He's a changed man.
How
And
many
I asked
people
him,
did
are
you
you
speak to in
excited?
Sembawang? How many
Sorry?
people? How many people did you speak to in Sembawang West?
Oh, maybe like 3 or 4, 5. Yeah. Okay, I spoke to them there. People are voting in Sabang West. But the people online that I've been speaking to, all of them are more or less voting for Dr. Chee.
Okay. So, by the way, I just wanted to say polling at this point in time is not legal.
Yeah.
So actually, technically, you cannot ask people who are you going to vote for. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So yes.
Okay.
So I attended the no, I attended. Someone attended the IMDA briefing on my behalf. So
Yeah.
polling is not allowed. So you can ask, is Dr. Chee handsome? That one you can
Oh,
ask. But
serious? So technically, it's not legal to even put on my stories who are you voting for.
yes,
Wow, that's interesting.
yeah. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So just in case IMDA approaches you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So but that is a small sample, right? What is Dr. Chee's own sense?
He's a very grounded individual, and I think he doesn't want to jinx it as well. He just wants to focus on finishing this campaign well. And I had a podcast with him yesterday. I'm gonna release it probably tomorrow.
Okay.
And we talked about, I name it, the name of the podcast called Chee Story lah. It's a history, it's a part of history. It's just a walkthrough in time of his first meeting with Lee Kuan Yew and everything, just like very intimate stuff. And I asked him as well. I told him I think this is the year. I said I feel it. I said I'm manifesting. This is Gen Z thing. But then he was like, yeah, okay, I hope so. Like, fingers crossed. But he said, no, like, Kevin, we don't talk about it so soon, you know. I just want to focus on finishing this. Yeah.
Yeah, so somebody said, Walid, do a session with Arifin. I have already done a session with Arifin, so I urge you to check it out. I am very impressed with this young man. I think if he continues on this trajectory, he has the potential to be a future star in politics. Maybe he'll run alongside Kevin in next election. Who knows? Kevin, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 30. I'm 30.
30. Oh, so he's just 3 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
So
hit, we hit
Kevin,
it off. We hit it off pretty well. I think I like him a lot. Yeah, I like him a lot.
yeah,
It's
I know. I saw your interview with him as well. It was. I can see the chemistry. So Kevin, if I were to ask you, right, you must answer.
yeah.
You can only choose one. Dr. Chee winning Sembawang West or Prof. Tembaya winning Bukit Panjang.
Oh, it has to be Dr. Chee. Yeah.
Wow, you didn't
I didn't
miss a
hesitate.
beat.
Yeah. And see, I'm a very honest person. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and then that's what people appreciate about my content and also about me. There's no such thing as a half-hearted champion. If I go with something, right, I'll go all in. See, if I decide to enter politics, right, I make sure that I'll be the most impressions in social media. Like that's it. Like I will not be second best. You know. And if you look at Arfin, for example, you look at just analyzing from social media point of view, like impressions wise, you are looking at Alexis, Dr. Chee, maybe Arfin, top three. You know. I think lah, this is just me making a wild guess lah. But um and I do think that social media plays a huge part in getting elected. Style matters to get through the door, but substance keeps you there. Yeah, and I
Right.
do think that if you want to get elected, you need to have a lot of stuff. You need to have a lot of charisma, especially as a first time candidate for people to vote you in. Yeah, and
Right.
Arifin is pulling that off pretty well because, I mean, I don't know his life story, but I know that he has run Wake Up Singapore, has been on the ground for 10 years. He understands the issues like the back of his hand. Plus, on top of that, he's charismatic in the way he presents his ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not Paul Tembaya? He is equally as compelling as a candidate, isn't he?
I just think Dr. Chee brings a different flavor to Parliament. Yeah, I just think that it's symbolic, I feel.
I think you're right. I think Prof. Tembaya is probably the PAP is more willing to deal with somebody like Prof. Tembaya. But Dr. Chee, I think he will change the dynamics of parliament if elected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe both of them will be elected. I don't know. Who
Oh,
knows?
you think so?
Maybe. Yeah, I think there's a good chance of that happening.
I think Prof. Tembaya has a really, really good chance. So there's a question here. Would I consider bringing in Pritam Singh into my channel now? The question is not whether I'll consider. If Pritam wanted, sorry Kevin, if Pritam told me that he's ready to come on now, I'll end this live and I'll have him on.
Of course, of course. See, I know where I stand, right? I know where I stand. In fact, I will gladly make way. I will gladly make way.
Yeah, but it's not about whether I'll consider Pritam, it's whether Pritam will consider coming on, right? So
Have
that's
you
the
met him
question.
before?
So Pritam has never done a single podcast. Never.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
hope if he ever decides to do one, mine will be the first. Of course, everybody hopes that.
Do you think there's a rationale for that?
I think he already has a platform that he needs to say whatever he wants. I don't think he needs the podcast as much as other politicians, which is why he likes to send the party. The party sends young candidates, first-time candidates, to do the
Hmm.
podcasts around. So even the TV debate, Michael Teng did it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the Workers' Party so far they've sent two candidates to my pod this cycle. Outside election, there've been a few, but recycled too, and both are first-time candidates. So one is Andre Low from Jalan Kayu, the other is Sofian from East Coast.
Okay. Let me answer WJ thing first, right? So I didn't write that I've been to different rallies. That was what Prof actually wrote.
Yeah,
That's his account. I just collect post him.
yeah.
Yeah. So no, I have not been to many rallies. I've just been to SDP one, WP one. I've not been to a PAP rally. Yeah.
So, what's the difference in the atmosphere between WP and SDP?
WP is more cultish lah, I would say. I mean, they're both passionate, at least for the loyal ones. But WP is a lot more cultish, I would
What
say.
do you
And
mean? What do you mean more cultish?
it's bigger. It's bigger, and there are people selling hammers. There are people profiting from merch. So that's how I define something as more quote unquote cultish, where people are willing to pay money to support a cause or a rally. And like I said, I am not very well informed politically. And I have seen some counter arguments against WP's recent issues, lah, especially with Russia Khan thing, especially with recently with the one where I can't remember the one with the religious leaders, right? And some people do feel that they are being a little bit too, like they are placing candidates more to win, uh more, how to say, more to win votes rather than okay, I don't want to explain it well. It's just like, okay, this is just me coming from a layman. Don't please crucify me if my line of thinking is not sound. But like Rasha Khan, for example, right? One could argue that she wasn't really as a politician. Like she was just there to quote unquote win votes from a certain uh, type of people,
Oh,
right? And also her
oh,
father was uh in some, I believe her father was quite a well known figure and also ran for the president elections. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that had an influence on her running. Yeah.
or maybe she was just an activist, wasn't ready
Mm.
to be a politician.
Could be also, and it seems to me that way. It seemed to be that way because there's a very far cry in the way Arifin presents himself and versus how she presented herself back then, and you could see that in Parliament as well, right? And I
Yeah.
would not never make definitive judgments on people's character. I've not met them. In fact, interesting enough, I've met her before, at a book launch because a close friend is a mutual friend. Yeah, so I've actually went for a book launch before and met her. So I don't make definitive judgment on people's character. Maybe she could have been pressured to say that in Parliament. I don't know. But I don't think she's really lah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a question. I interviewed Arifin and he apologized on his team's behalf. No, he didn't apologize on his team's behalf. That interview took place before that incident, the racist incident, and in fact, he has never apologized on his team's behalf.
Okay.
You can take a look at
Okay.
his answer, which was quite a brilliant response, I think.
Yeah.
So
Probably I
yeah,
gotta correct you politely on that because he did
yeah.
apologize on his team's behalf. And that was the interview with me personally. So after that,
Wait.
after the one on the stage, I went to him and he humbly apologized on his SDP's behalf and he said, "I'm sorry if it caused any hurt." And I found that to be
Oh,
very
right. So
professional.
this is referring to your interview.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
Not my interview. Got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Okay, sorry about that.
yeah.
So wait. So he apologized on his team's behalf.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said, "I apologize that it has caused any hurt that doesn't reflect SDP's values, and I hope you can continue to give us a chance. We have to work doubly hard to win your trust." But I think someone in the comments wrote, "Why is he apologizing?"
Yeah,
And I
why
wrote
is
back,
he apologizing? He's
"Yeah,
the victim.
yeah." And I wrote back. I said he's apologizing he's apologizing on the team's behalf because he's a professional, and that's why I'll back him. And uh, and that's his decision to make, right? I think he doesn't need to, but to me at least, we can disagree on this, but to me at least, the fact that he did that is he's essentially turning a situation around. Because if not for this situation, I wouldn't be able to tell, like, I wouldn't be able to see the depth of his character. And I always believe, right, this is what Martin Luther King said as well. He said, a true test of the person's character is not where they stand in times of comfort or convenience, right? It's where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. So in especially in this controversy, you see exactly the kind of person he is. And I take my hats off to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually will go one step further. there is a saying, right? Any man can stand adversity, but if you want to test a person's character, give him or her power.
Hmm.
I really
Hmm.
think that that is even more so than adversity
Wow.
in terms of really testing
Wow. That's
where a,
interesting.
where a person is
Yeah.
at. You know, you tell me you're humble before you have power. Like, who cares, right? If you're not humble, there's something
Hmm.
wrong. But if you
I
are,
love it. I love
then
it. Yeah.
yeah. So
It's like
I think that's the real test. That's why politicians sometimes before they have power, they are a different person. After they have, and it's not that they change, right? It's just that power reveals who they were to begin with. We just didn't know because they didn't have that power. So Arun says he doesn't think that he should have apologized on his team's behalf. Why did the victim apologize? I tend to agree as well. Although as a teammate, I also can understand why he apologized because you go together as a team, you make mistakes as a team as well. Although in this case, it really wasn't his fault. There was nothing he could have done to ensure that the incident didn't take place. So, do you think Dr. Chee's past will haunt him electorally?
there's a question inside the thing, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Arun, can you elaborate what you mean the message this sends to minorities is bad? Okay, so meanwhile, can you say, Kevin, do you
Yeah.
think Dr. Chee will be hurt electorally forever because of his past?
I mean, we'll find out, I guess. Yeah. I personally don't think so. I personally think that the younger gen does not as biased in terms of like what they've seen before. But definitely in the older gen, there's a stigma there's still in that. There's that impression that the hunger strikes and all these things that would, when they're about to cast their vote, that thing might pop into their mind, So yeah, I think it will affect, but whether it wins is a different thing.
Okay. So other than Arifin, Dr. Chee, and Paul Tambay, are there are there significant candidates for the SDP? That is one of the criticisms that people have said about the SDP. So other than these three, who else?
That's a good question. Actually, no one really comes to my mind. Because I don't, either because I don't interact with them or I just, yeah, yeah. So I have to be honest. In fact, like people would obviously on the surface would feel that I'm very pro opposition or pro SDP, but actually I am pretty neutral in that regard. I haven't even decided who to vote for in my constituency. I'm an East Coast plan.
Oh, you're an
So
East Coast person.
yeah,
Have you decided on your vote already?
no,
Not yet. Oh,
yeah,
interesting. So you
haven't.
are a gettable voter.
It's more of like I don't know. I'm not a okay. Okay. I'll just be very very honest with you. This might come across as extremely privileged and entitled, but like I don't feel the effects of inflation. I don't feel the effects of rising cost of living. I don't feel the effects of like I just don't like people complaining. Yeah, so it's a very privileged point of view, I understand, and I've always just been very independent with making my own money and not just giving things away. So I don't like how to say like that is not my criteria when I think of who to vote. Yeah, and I just find that
So what's your
using that
criteria? What's your criteria then?
uh I think who can represent the voices of the people the best.
In
Yeah, and I
Parliament.
look at the sincerity of your service, whether you can run the town council well, which I believe is one of the jobs of MPs, right? So first of all, competency in terms of ensuring that the place is well kept, and then secondly is whether you can genuinely represent people's voices in Parliament, whether it's with certain issues. I think these are the two things that I'll consider based on my limited knowledge. Policy
Okay.
wise, right? I actually do not. I actually do not consider it at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you don't care what the policies are. You're
It's not I
just
don't
looking
care.
at
It's just that I don't have
individuals.
time to read them. This might sound very ignorant, but I'm just being honest with you. I'd rather be honest with
No,
you here
please, I
now.
appreciate this. I appreciate this
And
a lot.
that rather than trying to paint a mask to look good in front of your viewers, I'm telling
Yeah.
you right now that I have not read a single manifesto or
Yeah,
policy
and
paper. Yeah.
I think there are other voters like you as well. So Arun said that if minorities are expected to be the bigger person, or Arifin is expected to be the bigger person in spite of being the victim, this sends a wrong message. Well, I don't think Arifin was expected to do it. He just wanted to do it. So unless you're saying, Arun, that Arifin doesn't have a right to
No, I
apologize
think
on
I have
this.
to politely disagree with Lord Arun, right? I think that he has the right to, show that he's a bigger person. And by doing that, it gives a good impression towards the majority race as well. But if you notice on stage, right, he did not do that. I think on stage, this was behind the camera with me, right? On stage in a national rally, sorry, when at a national stage, he made it very clear that this is appalling and this is inexcusable,
Yeah, he did say
right?
that. Yeah,
And he did not apologize on stage, right? He did
yeah, he
not.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah, he didn't. So he said this is inexcusable, it's appalling, and we should cut this out, right?
yeah,
Casualism, cut it out. Yes, they said that there's no malice and that's fair, but he said it's still intention is irrelevant. He said in a way that, like, to me at least, was very very clear cut. Yeah, so um I think that the apology was done well in terms of how prevalent this issue is and what else can be done to address this. I think it's a little bit of a different thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
don't
do
think
you
it's
think it speaks to the SDP's vetting process if a candidate who's running for public office doesn't know something which is quite basic for a lot of people? If you're operating in a multiracial country and you don't know that that word, that phrase, is really, really hurtful to Indians,
yeah.
do you think that speaks to some bigger problem within the SDP, or do you think it's just a one-off?
Oh, it's definitely a bigger problem. And it's not my position to. If I had a sit down chat, coffee chat with Dr. Chee, I would ask him about this, right? Not my place to ask him during the podcast. So I felt like we just changed the tune altogether.
Sure, sure.
Maybe I could because anyway the podcast was focused more on his life and his the intimacy of his life rather than policy, right? So I set the
Right.
tone really from the start. But if I would have a separate angle in a different podcast, this is definitely something I'll bring up. And I think this is worthwhile addressing. That at least to me, she doesn't seem like someone that can be in parliament. It doesn't seem like someone that you know again, this is from very, very surface judgment for me. Yeah. So but I personally I mean, I have every right to tell you what my impressions are, right?
Yeah, of course.
And my impressions are not good. So
Okay.
yes, the truth is that you will definitely lose voter confidence in terms of Dr. Chee's leadership, like the vetting process. Uh, I just hope it's not. I just think that he shouldn't be not given a chance because of this. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. But if other people feel that not going to vote for him because of this incident, then fully understandable.
Yeah, I think it's hard to blame Dr. Chee for this as well, because Dr. Chee already has a proven track record, 30 years, right? He's never in the public eye, and Dr. Chee is, I would say, the most scrutinized politician in recent history. So he didn't say, he has never made similar comments once, so I don't think he should be blamed for this. So there's a comment here. Thank you for your honesty, but from a messaging standpoint, it doesn't seem radically kind to not care at all about the serious cost of living issues. How will you respond to that?
Uh, I think that in a very okay, maybe let me put it a different way. I don't. Uh, I think that regardless of okay, let me just phrase this in a proper way. I think that what I've done with the work that I do and with my advocacy and everything has a greater impact than caring about the rising cost of living. And me spending time thinking about these things will not improve the lives of people.
Okay.
That is the way I can think about it.
Okay.
It's not that I don't care about my fellow people. It's just that I do not think that I'm going to be effective in debating inflation versus acting and making impact in other ways. If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm
What?
sorry if you feel disappointed, but that is just maybe it's not maybe they come across as a little bit blunt. So I
Right.
don't care about people. I do. I give away everything that I own. I
What do
don't
you
keep
mean?
any.
What do you mean? What do you mean
No,
you
I think
give?
the only reason to make money is to give it away. I'm wearing a Uniqlo shirt. My pants Uniqlo. Some of them are sponsored. You know, I've not spent. I don't spend money on myself. I hate spending money on myself. The only purpose of making money is to give it away, and I have no interest in keeping it in buying anything branded or whatever. Yeah.
Wow.
So I yeah. So yeah, that's just how I decided to live my
Okay.
life. People are gonna
Kevin,
look at. I just want to say one thing.
please.
People are gonna still look at my Rolex watch and say like, "Oh, can we buy a Rolex watch?" But there's an exception, right? There's investment in increase in value. I must be very careful what I say because, especially on social media, right? People will take one thing and then they would find any small thing to go
Yeah.
against it. Yeah, but I'm telling you right now that is my philosophy,
Right.
and yeah.
Thank you. Final word or advice for voters, your age or younger voters. Kevin.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So any final word for young voters?
Um, there's nothing I can say that would really change their mind, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like uh, this is gonna sound a little bit of a defeatist attitude, but I don't like imposing my values on other people. Yeah, I feel like if I tell you that, oh, you should be this, you should be that, you should care about a country, you should be this. I do think that you turn people away by extension. Yeah, and if you are yeah, so I tell people, guys, you make sure you better vote properly, make sure you make informed decision. Like people have really said that already. There's nothing I would say that
Right.
would be any different. And I feel like through our discussions already, that in itself should be enough for you to decide, to be influenced to make a more informed decision or to um vote a bit more wisely. Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, I hope that you run one day as an SDP candidate or any other party. And maybe I get to see you alongside Arifin as well. Thank you so much, Kevin, for doing this. Good night, and all the best for your future political career.
Okay. Thanks for
Okay.
hosting me.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you.